Mother Fluffers. I'm Jimmy.
And I'm Alice, less
And
enthusiastically.
Why are you not in Jesus fucking Christ. It's we are 5 seconds into it. Why are you not enthusiastic? Get your head in the game.
There's like
Do it.
There's like
Do it.
I'm Alice.
Yeah,
I'm Alice.
Yeah, do
Alice.
it. Yeah, just get it. Yeah, pump that shit into your veins. That's right. We are Signal 2 podcast.
I'm already sweating.
I'm sweating.
I'm already sweating.
I was like,
why are we on YouTube?
Oh, because
it's hot.
It's hot.
Kids.
Yeah. Yes. Before this, I was like wearing a hoodie. I was like, should I wear this hoodie? You're like, absolutely fucking
I saw
not.
these lights are like fucking fire.
I know. I feel like I'm on the stage. Anyway, how you doing?
Like, apart from being warm, I'm good.
I feel like
of,
anybody who's just tuned in has just gone, what the fuck?
can you imagine coming into this podcast for the first time ever and like you get one of these kind of episodes?
What are these intros?
Yeah.
I like to call it the Jimmy special.
Yeah.
It's just chaos. Anyway, sorry. How are you doing?
I'm good. We are going to be on YouTube, I'm hoping, by the time this is released. So I fully edited. I've genuinely edited it. It is ready to go. In my head, all I can hear is now I have to try and get the intro at the start of the video. All I can hear is da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. In my head. It's like on a fucking loop.
I just remember us saying this about 2 months ago.
No, it's like,
But
fuck,
it's
I could lift up the computer.
Genuinely taken you this long to just get your head around it, which is fair enough. 'Cause
Yeah.
It's all 6s and 7s to me.
No, it's been, there's a few people that have very much helped me out. But it'll be uploaded, but I want genuine feedback because obviously the cuts aren't perfect and the lighting is slightly different between you and I, and I've had to alter it. So if that annoys anyone, tell us. If you like something, tell us. If you're going to be negative, guys, be fucking nice about it.
I'm like,
Like,
if you're
be
going
nice
to
about it, 'cause
complain
some
about the
people-
light, don't worry. It's fine. It's fine. We're
I feel
doing
like
this
there's
as like a
certain
part-time.
listeners. I feel like there's certain listeners at the moment who, if they said, "Hey, do you want to maybe adjust this?" I'd be like, "Fuck yeah!"
Yeah.
Like, you've been nothing but delightful and supportive. But I feel like if you're just going to come off the bat with negatives, maybe not.
Yeah. But like also, we do this as
It's
in
a
our spare
hobby.
as a hobby. And you're learning to do this as it goes. So yeah, it looks amazing. I am sure. I have no doubts whatsoever.
It's actually,
But we are very excited.
Actually showed it to our friend Brendan. If you guys have listened to our Braidwood episodes, there, Brendan and Tom are Better Homos and Farmers. Great Instagram. Go follow them. But he looked at it and he's like, oh, it's like professional. Like, you guys have like lighting and like he was, yeah. So we haven't just put our iPhones in. We've got like lighting and shit and giant posters of Aquila and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, we're living the dream.
yeah. Anyway, that's me. I'm fine. I've done that. Apart from being sweaty and slightly stressed about that, I'm okay. I've been feeling really uneasy the last week. Actually,
sweaty?
I've been having bad dreams again, which is not.
Sign of anxiety, perhaps.
Yeah, anxiety, a little bit of depression dreams,
Oh.
but otherwise,
I've been having work dreams because work sucks right now.
yeah.
It's like my life is that Blink-182 song. Work sucks.
I know.
She left me roses by the stairs. You never gave me roses.
Surprises, let me know she cares. Yeah, because
well done.
flowers are a waste of money.
Yeah, well. But anyway, yeah. But yeah, I'm glad you're doing well. But yeah, there's a certain amount of uneasiness. I know that I think you also.
Yeah.
We very much we're empaths, which is good, but also terrible when
Terrible.
when one of us finally gets right, the other one dips, and then so whoever's got right, in this case, you're in a pretty good place, but I'm in a pretty ordinary place. So
This
I just drag you
is
back
a
down. I'm like,
fucking disaster.
I'm like,
Absolutely.
oh, you're feeling good about yourself? Ah, fucking absolutely
Let
not.
me vicariously make you feel shit.
Oh, God, it's happening again. But then, and then as soon as I start to feel better, I've brought you down, and then you start to bring me down with you, and it's just a match made in heaven. And the wedding invites went out today, and what did you put it in the wedding details? let us celebrate the beginning of the end. Yeah.
They were quite funny invites. I was very proud of how funny we made them.
That's right. Well, I am a naturally funny person, obviously. Anyway, Well, thank you for asking, but I'm doing quite well.
I was literally about to, and then I got distracted by
alcohol.
because sharks.
No. I'm doing ordinary, but it's totally fine. I'm holding it up to the camera I came across these. We went to Milligram in the city in Sydney, and it's like a stationery shop. It's sort of
It's like an old, like a grown-up versions of Typo.
Yeah, exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, if you've got fountain pens and fountain pen friendly diaries, planners. So like I've already got my 2024 planners all ready to go. And I picked up these stoicism cards. They're really, really good. And I find that when I was really struggling earlier in the year, I found stoicism.
You spoke about it on the podcast.
I've spoken about it before, absolutely. So I found these cards, and there's 50 of them. I read one on the Uber home, and it was sort of like,
it was basically like, don't fall in love because that's ridiculous. Friendship's the only place you'll ever find stability, and like love is a waste of time.
No, love is a consolation prize.
Yeah, like don't get me wrong, like, friendship is fucking rad. I love my friends, but like, ugh.
But you are the consolation prize. Do you really want to know what philosophy offers humanity? Philosophy offers wisdom. That's boring. Yeah, I think it's this one by Seneca. Friendship is always helpful, yet too often love causes harm. And then on the back, it just goes on to say that being asked to be someone's friend should be deemed the greatest honor. By contrast, an invitation to be someone's lover should, given what too often happens in couples, be the very poor consolation prize.
Jeez.
So there you go.
Sometimes stoicism, I'm like, you need to calm the fuck down.
I do love it.
It's good, but sometimes it needs to calm down.
Yeah, that's it. I think the main thing that I really like about it, and that's the main teaching is, if it's out of your control, you need to let it go, and that's something that I've been really trying, but not succeeding too well with. But anyway, they're really good. Something that I thought, I know we're going to have a bit of an intro, so if this isn't your jam, if this isn't your vibe, please skip ahead maybe about another 4 or 5 minutes. Two things. Mm-hmm. The Paddy, why do I always think Paddy Moriarty?
That's it, Paddy Moriarty. Paddy Moriarty.
Oh,
yeah. Like Moriarty, like Sherlock Holmes.
That's what I kept thinking. All right, yeah. Paddy Moriarty, in Larimar. So we did it as a missing persons case in, was that August?
Yeah, Paddy and Kelly.
Paddy and Kelly. There's now a really good doco on Netflix. So if you wanted to find out a little bit more, and it interviews a lot of the people that we talked about.
And there's some footage of Paddy.
And there's really, some great footage. And it kind of, once again, when you hear and see them, it humanises them. I'm really struggling with this. I'm just putting it over there. So yeah, go check that out. Especially if you haven't listened to that episode, make sure you listen to it. And then, because otherwise Netflix has a bigger budget than we do.
Yeah.
And there's no point listening to us.
And if you're not from Australia and you want to see the most Australian fucking crime documentary you possibly can, watch it.
100.
Because everything about it is the most Australian shit ever.
Absolutely. And then there's also on Netflix the Exposed Ghost Train. Tim, one of my mates, he sent me a message today.
Actually, one of our listeners sent it to me as well.
Oh, perfect. It's the old doco that was I think it was the ABC, wasn't it?
Yeah, ABC.
But it's now just been released on Netflix. So we've also covered that case, the Luna Park Ghost Train fire.
Yeah,
which is incredibly tragic. But if that, just letting you guys know it's out there. So yeah, I was in a conundrum driving home the other day. This is what I wanted to ask you, and I've been holding on to this question.
Oh really?
So anybody? I was driving. There's a road called Pimot Bridge Road, and it's basically 2 lanes of traffic. But one main road, like one main lane, because there's the left lane. It's where basically it's for turning off, and it's almost one of those really common streets that you'd only be going along that road if you're not like in peak hour, for instance, when it gets backed up. If you know the area, if you live in the area, it's not really going to be one of those common roads. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Anyway, so. The right lane, if you're heading towards, I don't know, if you're heading in one direction, the right lane always gets backed up. And the left lane's always if you just want to turn off onto one of the side streets. But of course, inevitably, you're going to have people that cut the 100 meters 100 meters or so of cars that are patiently waiting. Is it rude if you were in one of the lanes, on one of the cars on the right lane, for instance, if you saw a car pull out, like that was already in the right lane, you saw it pull out, and then it kind of had a look, and then it pulled out, it pulled out a little bit, had a look, then pulled out fully into the left lane, just overtook everybody, didn't wait their turn, basically. Is it rude to pull out in front of them just to block their access?
I don't know. Like, here's this is I think about these things often
because I think that's a dick move.
A few times I've gone into those situations where traffic is backed up. I am in a new area and I haven't realized traffic's backed up for a right-hand turn further up, and I'm like, oh fuck, I look like that guy.
Yes,
and I'm happens. Like, so I think it's you need to be able to judge if that person knows they're cutting the queue. If they know they're cutting their queue, in my opinion, free reign.
But then even
you want to
if
open
they
a door on
don't,
them, open a door on them.
Even if they don't and they've knowingly taken advantage, because I've done the same thing. That is a really common, yeah, for sure. But do they then, by doing a dick move, have the right to then have a go at you for also doing a dick move, which is basically just being like sort of planting your car halfway?
No, because I also think in that scenario, if you've gone out to look and there's no one in the left lane, if you've got any kind of fucking intelligence, the assumption would be there's a reason why everyone's in this right-hand lane, not in the left-hand lane. I'm going to stay here. But I feel like if you're going to do a dick, like, it'd be so funny if he was actually turning left further up. But
no, because there were no more left turns.
Okay,
it's
an
basically
outright,
a merge.
Outright, like.
Yeah, dick move.
You know what it was? It's your road version of your Facebook shit stirring.
Yeah, I did it, and I could see him, and he was blasting me, and because it happened the day before. And I mean, you mentioned intelligence. I drive from the inner west to the northern beaches there and back every day, and I fucking rarely see any intelligence on the road, including myself, I suppose. But yeah, I but he was just giving me shit, and I just felt like I was just there going, mate, you're just as fucking bad. At least I can own my dickish behavior. But anyway, just wanted to throw it out there. Let us know what you guys think, but fuck them. We were, just before we get into it, this episode, for no reason in particular, other than it has a horse on it.
It's the pony whiskey.
It's the pony whiskey. It's called Pinhook. It's a Kentucky straight rye whiskey with an E. And the horse's name is called Ride On because it's a rye whiskey and it's RYE''D. The horse's size is 16.3 hands. I have no idea what the fuck that means.
Horses are measured in hands.
That's weird. What, like up, down, dick size?
If it was 16.3 hands in dick size, I know horses have big penises, but like, fuck, no, it's in height.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's up to, I don't know if it goes up to like their backs or up to their heads.
I don't. We already became.
But anyway, point
48.5%.
Horses are measured in hands.
If you're new to whiskey, you're going to be trying a lot of 40% whiskeys because that's the minimum percentage. You know, you attach.
I forgot if I actually started recording.
Oh, Jesus. If you're new to whiskey, you're going to be drinking a lot of 40% whiskeys.
Yeah, we're fine.
And because that's the minimum they have. And so the cheaper the whiskey, they always try to like stretch it further. So you got 40%. If you then drink more and more whiskey and you go further down that rabbit hole, you're then going to get into cask strength, which is 60% plus, whatever. I always find if you've had a little bit of whiskey, go up to your 46 to 48%. They're a really great sweet spot. This is 48.5.
I tend to find 48 just my jam anyway.
I think 48 to 52 for me is
it's
bang
very
on.
Nicely drunk.
Yeah. Yeah, very smashable whiskey. And I'm on... So I'm actually double parked now, but oh well.
That's all right.
I'm also on the Dolan and tonic. So
Delicious.
as an alternative to gin, Dolan vermouth and a bit of tonic. It's a winner chicken dinner. Anyway, I have no idea what the fuck happened last episode.
Okay, yeah. So we were talking about William MacDonald. So we knew William MacDonald initially existed as Allen Ginsburg.
Yes.
So born 1924. He had a very rich family, remember? They very much neglected him, didn't give him any love, anything like that. Older brother's a dick.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, so basically he was the black sheep of the family and started to get into shenanigans, go on his long nighttime walk. So the brother sent him off to, he went to the mental institution for 6 months and was like electric shock therapy 5 days a week.
Jeez. Yeah, I do remember that now.
That was insane. And at this point...
What was that for again?
Well, he was wandering the streets and then the police thought he swore at that woman, but in fact he was having a sexual encounter with a man.
Oh, that's right.
And he couldn't say that because it was illegal back then.
Yes.
So he had that stint. Then he joined the army, the Lancashire Fusiliers, thank you, where he was raped by Alexander Pierce.
Which had
Alexander
devastating
Pierce, that is the wrong
consequences.
word, isn't it?
Alexander Pierce is the cannibal bushranger.
Yeah, oh my God. What?
Don't look
Oh
at
no.
me.
Oh no.
It's all right. He was raped by somebody, by his superior officer in the army.
Yes.
Which you're going to find the name on. And
I will find it.
Doesn't
It's going to come up again in about 2 paragraphs.
yeah. Which has had
devastating consequences in his life. So he decided to eventually move to Australia, change his name to William MacDonald, and start a life here. But at this point in time, we're seeing he has quite severe paranoid schizophrenia. He's worried everybody's talking about him, talking about his homosexuality, all that kind of stuff. So he does his little tour around Australia, settles back in Sydney, and that's where he kills his first victim, which was Amos Highhurst. Remember, he strangles him when he's buying his pies.
But then didn't he buy him drinks?
Bought him a pie, had his beers in his bag.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, had his beers in his bag, took him back to Amos's house.
Yep.
Where he strangled him, and the only reason why Amos was found was because he was decomp, and they ruled his cause of death as a heart attack.
That's right.
Important to note that was in Queensland. So that's an important fact to remember.
Okay.
So that was in Queensland. So he's in Sydney, and then he murders his first mutilator.
He didn't touch the body though, did he?
No, because he didn't have his knife with him.
That's right. He
Yeah.
considered it though.
He did consider it. And then in Sydney, he had his second victim, which was Alfred Reginald Greenfield. Reginald. We had a listener say they almost lost it when we kept saying Reginald. And he was the first mutilated victim. So remember, they met in Green Park in sort of King's Cross area. He'd
right.
had a
Which
little
is across
fight.
the road from
St Vincent's
St.
Hospital.
Vinny's. Yep.
He'd had a fight with his missus. They went to the Domain Baths, and it was there he started stabbing him. And then at that point in time, he stopped looking like Reginald anymore. He started looking like the man that had raped him. And that's why he cut the balls off, chucked them in the Domain.
And penis.
They were balls, penis, skin, everything, chucked them in the Domain. They were found by police. And now we're up to where we're up to. Remember he tried to kill a few extra people, and then the desire just left and off he went. So there was a few cases like that.
And that's right. There was just with sorry, all I can think now is Reginald.
Alfred. Reginald Greenfield.
With Alfred Greenfield, I'm just going to say that, otherwise I get sidetracked. With that murder, it was because it was a renowned homeless or displaced persons sort of area, shelter. So they are the ones that found the body and went to the police and you're just going to have a look. And the police were like, what do you mean? And then actually seeing the body. So if you haven't, you did post the photos of all of that. So if you haven't seen that, check out our socials because you'll be able to have a look at those photos.
Signal to podcast community. You got asked to join the community just because basically I think what we're going to do is when you join, you're basically knowing you're going to see some things that people might not otherwise be able to see. We'll always give you a heads up and a warning, but we will do things like post crime scene photos there. Otherwise, our episodes are always uploaded to Instagram and Facebook.
That's
so
right.
You don't have to be a part of the community if that's something you don't want to see, or you can join and just not look at those photos.
Exactly.
It's not a problem.
So now we're up to date.
We're up to date. And William's almost proud of his murder of Alfred.
Of course he would be.
Yeah. Which to him, he's like, I've basically just murdered my rapist. That's how he felt.
Yeah.
I killed my rapist and he'll never rape again. But he was also very disappointed at the little coverage the crime had gotten.
Really?
He said he didn't feel guilty for at least the first few days, but that sort of dissipated and life then just returned to normal. He's like, it was just any other day, a couple of days later, he continued his monthly sexual dalliances as he had. But he's continually getting bullied at work.
What was his work again? It was worked with his
mail
hands.
sorter.
Oh,
He was a mail
yep,
sorter.
Yep.
And that was because of his unsociable nature. And he's often called into his boss's office because he's just threatening people with knives and guns at this point.
Oh, really?
Remember he previously covered his foreman in concrete, poured concrete on his foreman? Remember that? Yeah, so he
has had outbursts.
He does, and it tends to be with the people at work because there's one specific guy who just, they clash.
Right.
They clash. The pair of them clash.
We've all got that one person, I suppose.
Yeah. And he's also becoming increasingly paranoid. People are talking about him or find out who he is and also the fact he's gay.
Yeah, okay.
So police are investigating Alfred's murder, but leads are starting to dry up very quickly, so it's placed on the back burner. And I would imagine that enthusiasm is probably a little bit decreased as they sort of considered him just a drunk vagrant.
Right.
So, yeah, like it's a crazy murder, but like William's choosing his victims well at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's not going to be long now before the demon needs to kill. So William goes to a different shop this time to buy a knife and a gun because you don't want to be linked to too many shops buying knives. So he's like, I've got to keep shaking it up.
Right.
Now, he did get the exact same knife as before, though, because it had been quite a successful knife, so he's going to use it again. So he goes off on the hunt. Now, with this, when he goes off on the hunt for this second time, it's with the understanding and acceptance that he's going to keep killing until he's caught.
Oh, really?
And he knows that's what's going to happen.
Okay.
He knows I will just keep killing, and if I never get caught, well, there we go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's also like, I know a lot of details from all the crime books I've read, so it's best to plan my murders. Don't do any of them out of like opportunity. Don't be an opportunist with my murders.
That's right, because he was a massive crime book, like comic and everything.
Crime and punishment things and stuff like that.
That's right. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. And he believed he's the smartest.
Of course.
He's smarter than everybody.
Right.
And he was also making sure he remained physically fit, even having some weights in his room to work out. He was making sure he didn't smoke, he didn't drink. Like he's making a conscious effort to remain fit and healthy.
So he's becoming like a professional serial killer at this point.
Basically.
Like this is his new career. It's almost sounding like.
Yeah. And he's also feeling like this kind of keeps him in control of his demon. So if he goes out and the demon says to kill, but the circumstances aren't right or the victim is too risky or anything like that, he could just walk away and try another time.
That's actually quite clever from that perspective.
If you're a psychopath, very smart.
Yeah.
Very smart.
Yeah.
So, but sometimes when the circumstances were right and everything was aligned, the urge once again would just go away and he'd go back home.
So it's interesting because does the fact we really need to know what the rapist's name was?
Alexander Price.
Alexander Price. He only saw them as Alexander Price once he had already started. I mean, I guess with Greenfield, Alfred, it was after he'd already killed him that he
basically
saw him. And because I'm just thinking if he saw people already as Alexander Price, he's not going to have control of his emotions, will he?
No, and I think it's also like the demon's telling him to kill, and that's his sort of auditory hallucinations. Then he starts killing, and then all of a sudden something kicks in and he gets the visual hallucinations of Alexander Price, and that then obviously escalates it into taking. But
he's obviously got that control to be able to walk away. Interesting.
And like I was actually thinking, I wrote here, I was like, I honestly wonder how many people's lives were saved because that urge just dissipated one time.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's Monday the 21st of November 1961, and he wakes up and he's like, desire to kill is here. And as he puts it, it was as simple as that.
Oh, okay.
So he packed up his murder kit, cheap raincoat, knife, 3 bottles of beer and a plastic bag and goes in search of his third victim. Now it's around 10 p.m. and William spots a man. He strikes up a conversation and the man informs him he was listening to a fight on the wireless at a local pub but was not able to buy a drink anymore due to him running out of money. So like bingo bango.
Right,
that's fantastic.
Right. Yep.
So William's like, well, what a coinky dink. I've got me some beer.
Of course he does.
And he's like, look, there's some toilet blocks in Moore Park. And we should go drink there because, you know, it's illegal to drink in public here. We don't want to be accused of having sly grog. And so like, let's go drink there. And he's like, amazing. That sounds great. So he starts telling William of his loneliness since his wife died, divulging all this new information, thinking he had a kind ear to listen. Once again, same situation. Just someone talking about the hard knocks of their life to William and thinking they had a friend.
Because back in those days, men wouldn't talk about their problems to anybody.
No, exactly.
Well, yeah.
So the pair drank together and the man doesn't think of it like anything of it when William casually puts his raincoat on because once again, it's drizzling that night.
Yeah.
So William went to grab the third bottle of beer, but instead grabbed his knife and basically uppercutted him with the knife. Just uppercutted him. And the man tried to fight him, but William just kept stabbing and stabbing and stabbing. And at this point, he stopped seeing the man he was stabbing and started seeing his rapist.
Yeah.
And he then just kept stabbing until he was too exhausted and he had to physically stop.
Wow.
Then with the little energy he had left, he removed his genitals and placed them in a plastic bag. Now, William left and made his way home. And when he arrived home, he washed the genitals with soap and water. And he says, I don't know why I did that. I don't know why I did it, but I did it. And the next day he would then package it all up and throw everything off the harbour bridge.
Right. So that's a similar MO. Similar MO.
Yeah.
What was the Moore Park victim's name?
We're going to talk about this now.
Oh, okay.
So the police station gets a call about a deceased male in the Moore Park toilet block opposite the Bat and Ball Hotel. I don't know if you know what it is.
I used to go there all the time.
Yeah, opposite there.
If you've ever gone to a game of cricket, it's like one of those at the SCG. It's one of those pubs, one of those institutions. Yep.
Now, so it appears that the man who made this phone call tried to disguise his voice and was like, "There's a dead guy in the toilets at Moore Park," and it seemed like he tried to. There is a dead guy. That's probably basically what it was like.
What it was.
Excellent. Well done.
You're welcome.
So police intended the toilet block to find a deceased male in one of the stores.
Yeah, right.
Stalls. And the way he's sort of positioned is, I've got photos too. He's on his knees in the toilet sort of cubicle with his back against the toilet itself. So he's facing the door, back against the toilet itself, and he's kind of leaning towards the left.
Okay. So he's on his knees though, so he's not sitting on his butt.
No, he's on his knees on the ground.
On the ground?
On the ground. Like he's kneeling on the ground.
He's kneeling. And his body's what? Just laying back?
Laying back
resting.
against the toilet itself.
That's sort of propping him up, but that's why he's slumping.
Yes, exactly.
Righto, okay, yeah.
So his pants were down around his knees and they saw an all too familiar calling card.
Yeah.
The genitals had been removed, this time more completely, it would appear. So not only in the testicles and penis being removed, and before obviously there was a little bit of skin attached, but they'd also removed all of the skin around where the pubic area is.
Right.
So all of that had been taken. The male also had numerous stab wounds on the chest area, which including another calling card that we know of him, which is a stab wound directly in the Adam's apple.
Yes.
Yeah, because remember last time he did it to Alfred.
Wasn't it through the side of the throat or something?
He did that as well, but remember he tried to stop the knife from going in and he stabbed him through the hand into the neck.
Yeah, right.
Now the stab wounds once again appeared to be an excessive number. Yeah. Which was similar. Remember, Alfred had about 47.
I was going to say, I thought about 40 or 50.
Yeah, so he had 40.
Okay.
Now, many of the stab wounds this time, like many of them, had gone straight through the other side of the neck, and the wounds to the chest were significantly deeper than previously. So these ones were quite deep. Yeah. And the deceased male was Ernest William Cobbin, and he was another homeless man.
Now, you mentioned that it was deeper. It was the same knife, though, wasn't it?
Yes.
So
not
it's
the
not
same
like it was
actual knife, the same make and model.
Oh, okay. So, no. So, yeah, correct. Oh, that's what I meant. Sorry. But I'm just thinking because if it's gone deeper, he's obviously, you mentioned that he was stabbing until he was exhausted. It was just probably just pushing and that maybe he worked himself up into more of a frenzy in this one, perhaps.
And I think so. I think because he's always learning and evolving, because I don't know if you remember in the last episode, we were saying that through his Crime and Punishment magazines, he had learned that the best place to stab someone is either in the neck or in the heart, but he didn't really get good stab wounds there last time. So I think maybe this time he was really trying to get some deeper wounds in the chest.
Yes, okay. And the victim's name, Ernest?
William Cobbin.
Yeah.
Now, this now required the top detective to be assigned to the case. And that's Detective Inspector Ernie Freeman. And he's actually the detective assigned to the Graham Thorne kidnapping case.
Oh, no way.
Which we will cover at some stage. But that's Australia's first ever kidnapping case.
Yes, Ernie Freeman.
And all police were now being told to patrol any area where homeless people frequent and to be on the lookout. So there's like constant patrols of these areas.
Yeah.
Police spoke to a bartender at the Subway Hotel where, I'm not sure like where that is, where Ernie was a regular. Now, she said that he came in that morning, left, then came back in the afternoon and was alone the whole time. She's like, there was nothing suspicious or out of order when he left at 10 o'clock.
You said Ernie. Are we talking about Cobbin or Freeman?
Cobbin.
Okay, so the victim. Because it's Ernie Freeman is the...
I will always say detective for the cop.
Sorry, I just was because you... Okay,
Ernie's our victim, sorry.
Ernest is Ernie as well.
Okay, sorry. So Ernie, the deceased male.
Yes.
Bartender said, came in the morning, left, came back in the afternoon, stayed there, nothing suspicious until he left at 10 p.m. when the bar closed.
Okay, understood.
Yeah. And Ernie apparently wouldn't actually drink at the bar. He would often just sit there and listen to the wireless. And she said it seemed he was just escaping the weather until the bar closed and he had to go outside, which is really sad.
That's so sad.
Now, police also found the person who made the call to them about the dead body, and he was actually just a chef who was there to do a wee and was confronted by the body. So, like, I expected it to be William when I was reading this.
Yeah, I thought the same.
Yeah, but it was just a red herring.
So it wasn't actually a voice. It was just
the way this guy sounded.
I was gonna say it was just a weird.
This is just how he talks because it's the 1960s.
I can't. I go just try to filter out all the inappropriate things I could be saying. Right. So just a chef with a weird voice.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Okay. I'm here. I'm with you.
You're here with me?
I'm trying to keep my head in the game here.
So,
Don't. I don't know what's going on.
I won't. Okay. Whew. So police are also going undercover as homeless men to try and entrap the murderer.
Fair.
Yeah. And they're also going to all gun and knife shops to see if anyone who had sold knives to suspicious looking people. But like, what is a suspicious looking person?
Especially when like gun and knives, like you're going to get some characters, aren't you?
Yeah. And it's also like post World War II, like people are probably still a little bit paranoid.
True. But it seems like they're doing really good cop work.
They're doing well.
They're exploring every avenue and yeah.
And they're also seeing people who had been released from jail in the last 6 months that had homicidal tendencies.
Okay.
So they're doing pretty well. The detectives also consider he might be a shift worker solely because the murder occurred on a Monday. So it was likely he didn't need to attend work the next day, which is so fucking smart.
That's very
And
clever.
also correct because William had worked the weekend shift. So he had Tuesday and Wednesday off.
Very clever. So
Yeah.
they're onto something here. Did William MacDonald, he didn't have a criminal record though, did he? Not in Australia.
He did because remember he got locked up for a couple of months because he was caught touching the penis of a police officer.
Oh.
But it wasn't in New South Wales, and certainly back then, no one's fucking communicating with other states.
Okay. No, I had forgotten that.
Yeah, because he had to leave because he was worried he would get thrown back in an institution.
But he wasn't. But that wouldn't come up for anything that they're searching for.
Oh God, no.
Yeah.
No. God no.
Like violent, that kind of thing, murderous, homicidal.
No. So for the first time, police release a warning to the public and something of interest is said. They said, we believe he is a twisted psychopath homosexual who is killing to satisfy some twisted urge. And like you can imagine when William hears the words homosexual, that's going to obviously make his paranoia increase.
But him though, like apart from the deviant homosexual, but like he is a homosexual who is
like fulfilling a twisted urge.
Fulfilling it. Thank you. I was trying to think. Yeah, which was to kill Alexander Price. I wrote Pierce. Fuck me.
I know. It's like I'm saying, the more and more we do cases, I'm like, it's scary how many cases have very similar names.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Alexander Price. There you go. Jeez. Okay, so they probably nailed it. That's just very. Yeah, I'm very impressed.
So despite this, William's still disappointed with the lack of media coverage. He wants more. He wants more notoriety. But he did attend work to find everyone was telling more penis-related jokes about the killer. So more foreskin jokes. I think it got to the point where I'm like, I'm not writing it. Like, I'm not doing it. Like, it's ridiculous.
What do you call a cheap circumcision?
What?
A rip-off.
You've been watching.
You may continue.
Yep. Anyway, that made him proud that everyone was talking about him and what he'd done. So he was very happy with that. He also loved that one guy at work was saying that it was Sydney's Jack the Ripper.
Oh.
And Jack the Ripper was his idol.
Oh no. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna say there I could see. I mean I could see the parallels of the brutality of it.
Yeah, for sure.
So he's just getting off on that. Excuse the pun.
Oh God. All right. But during these months, his paranoia is on high alert because he believes everyone's out to get him. And because of this, he actually gets sent to a psych by his boss. Because the boss is like, you need to go and see someone.
Yeah, right.
Like, too far.
Yeah.
And he gets diagnosed as schizoid, which I think is the very un-PC term for what we now know as paranoid schizophrenia.
Yes, right.
And this was in January 1962.
Okay.
So in February, William becomes very close to being caught, basically grooming his next victim. So he's once again sitting in Green Park opposite Vinnie's, Sharing, yeah, you just did that, and I've got a keel of hair in my eyeball too.
Okay, so for those listening and not watching, I just pulled a kilo fur hair off my cap, and Alice is now trying to finger her eyeball.
Okay.
So he's gone back to Green Park, which is where he found Alfred Greenfield, the first victim.
Yes. And a police car who's patrolling came by and spoke to them, and they were the kind of people they were sussing out as the murderers and the victims. But William gives a false name and was like, okay, well, I'm off home now. And the cops were like, okay, yeah, bye. And off everybody went.
So if he was there but not homeless, that should be warning bells, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But like the cops were like, goodbye now.
Yeah, okay.
So he, with the urge to kill kind of subsided by the presence of police, he just goes home.
Jeez, okay.
But at 10:50 p.m. on Saturday the 31st of March, a couple with their infant child are in Darlinghurst rushing home. It's once again an evening of rain. Although these were like sporadic showers, but the couple wanted to get home because they had a little newborn little muffin. Now, as they passed the small side street of Little Burke Street, they saw a man lying on the ground near the gutter with a significant amount of blood surrounding him. So the husband rushes over, checks for sign of life, and he's actually breathing.
Oh, wow.
But only just. So they rushed home under 200 metres away and immediately called police. Now, obviously, everything's a bit slower back then, which I don't know why, because Little Burke Street's very close to King's Cross Police Station. Anyway, 20 minutes later, another man almost ran over him in the gutter. But this is at a different place where the couple had first seen him. So 45 minutes later, yeah, we're going to get there. New confusion, I see it.
Yeah.
45 minutes later, police arrived at the scene and they're confronted by something all too familiar. Now, as I said, what is interesting to note is that the male had moved since the couple saw him and when he was almost run over. So William, at this point, we can assume, is brazen enough to have started to kill the gentleman. The couple turned up and saw him, and they said adamantly there was no genital mutilation at that point.
It would be pretty obvious if there was.
Very obvious. They have left, but the guy who almost ran over him in the gutter said there was definitely genital mutilation at that point.
Okay.
And that was only 20 minutes.
Wow, okay.
20 minutes between the two, knowing that someone had already spotted his victim.
How would he have known?
Because he was waiting.
What do you mean?
He was still there.
Oh, wait, really?
Because the guy was still breathing when they showed up and then had no penis or testicles by the time police arrived.
So they both ran away. The couple, they both ran.
Yeah, because obviously the husband was like, we've got to go, and the wife's not going to stay there with a fucking baby. I would not.
That is fair.
That is
very fair enough. Yeah.
Yes. But it wasn't brazenness that had caused William to murder so earlier in the evening than normal that people would be walking past, especially people with children. It was actually a tactical decision.
Okay.
So he saw police were patrolling in the early hours of the morning where he'd previously murdered. So he's like, well, if I kill earlier in the evening, there'll be less police around to catch me.
As in they're going to be rostered on
for the later night
shift rather than the...
Yeah. And he's like, I'll carry a bag filled with the usual suspects with him. But by carrying a bag at that time, it looks like he's just a shift worker coming home from a shift at the pub at about 10 o'clock because that's when they closed.
Yeah, okay.
So no one's going to be suspicious about someone in that area with a bag at that time of night, which is honestly very clever.
Very clever.
Very clever.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Do you want to punch the microphone?
Oh, it's so sweaty.
This is I would go so far as to argue this is probably the most intelligent killer that we've covered.
100% until he gets really fucking stupid.
Is it stupidity or arrogance? I will get there, but
I'm going to go with stupidity.
Okay. All right. Because I could see him becoming arrogant at this point.
Yeah, I would say stupidity.
Okay.
But this victim was identified as Frank Gladstone McLean. And he was just basically, once again, another down on his luck man, recent family breakdown, and he turned to the bottle for comfort.
Right.
And a comfort that William, once again, has taken advantage of.
Yeah.
Now, Frank had suffered similar injuries to the others. He actually had more stab wounds. He had 49 stab wounds.
Wow.
And many of them were in that uppercut style of entry. So once again, he'd grab the knife and uppercutted him with a knife.
Right, okay.
Which
ugh. Are we talking about uppercut? The only thing that I'm thinking, if an uppercut would go underneath the chin.
Yeah. That's what I'm imagining, in that very straight under the chin kind of motion.
But then you could also probably get it if it's an uppercut to the body.
Yeah, no, I think he meant uppercut as you would know an uppercut, like the boxing uppercut.
Owie.
Yeah, owie. Now, he also had William's signature of removing the penis and testicles and the surrounding skin. So once again, he had removed that little bit more than he had with his first victim. Now, one thing police discovered was that Frank was actually a known associate of Alfred, our first mutilated victim.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a little coinky-dink.
Oh, okay.
Nothing
really?
of significance associated with it, but obviously it like wasted a bit of their time.
Yeah.
Because they thought maybe there was some kind of connection.
Well, that makes
but it just so
sense.
happened that they frequented the same places because they were in the same stages of life.
I was gonna. Yeah.
That's all it
How
was.
old are these men?
They're all kind of in their like 30s, 40s.
Okay, so similar age, going through similar life experiences in the same area of Sydney.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
he's not branching out of the inner Sydney area.
No, he's staying quite. Well, that's
Like-
also where like the homeless populations are at their densest.
Mm. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Understood.
Yeah.
And I meant to ask, with the uppercuts, is there anything in that? It's just very strange. You don't. Most people it'll be the opposite, or you go down, you stab down with it in like a clench, or I suppose like like a prison shank. You thrust forward. I don't know. This just seems like a very awkward stabbing action.
In my head, I imagine I have no basis for this. It's just in my head, but like I imagine it's because you can go from hiding a knife to uppercutting someone with a knife a lot easier than lifting it above your head and stabbing them.
Bullshit. You can
You
just
take it from but like if you because he likes to go neck, so he's always going to want to target neck first.
Yeah, see, I wonder if there's something there, like you're saying, he gets them in a certain position, or like when I say position, he gets them where he's a certain position to them, where, as you're saying, it's a very quick and easy kind of movement. There's got to be something in it, because I've just never really heard of uppercut stabbings
When he
before.
said that, I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
Don't like that. I don't know why I don't like that. Now, William would later confirm that Frank actually put up a real fight. And he did, and they both kind of got stuck in their tracks by the sound of a baby approaching, because the baby was crying.
Mm.
And he's like, so yeah, I was like halfway through attacking him. I heard a baby and then heard people speaking. So I had to literally go and like move into the darkness. Like that's literally what he did, was like move into the darkness. Yeah.
Hiding in the shadows.
Yeah. But and after that, like what kills me is like you could have been caught. Like it's so ballsy. It's so ballsy. But then like, so obviously he escapes into the darkness. He hears them leave. And then he said, as he heard them leave, he looks back at Frank and he's like, well, now he's Alexander. And now I'm going to have to take his balls off. And so that's sort of where he drags him into an area that was, it appeared as if it was slightly more hidden from the street in inverted commas, but obviously someone who's going down Little Burke Street as opposed to just passing it like the couple, you're going to stumble right across them. So that's where that guy, the second guy, stumbled across him with his genitals gone down Little Burke Street.
It was just unfortunate timing that he didn't get him caught William in the act. the driver.
And like if the driver had, William would have killed him. William said multiple times he has no hesitation in killing anyone who he comes into contact during the murder process.
Yeah, okay. Wow.
So once he was done, he returned home again and washed the genitals, like clean them. So weird.
Is it what's in that?
I don't know. And he says during an interview, he's like, I don't know why I did it. I just did it. I don't know.
Strange.
Very strange. If anyone has any theories, hit us up.
I have a theory.
What is it?
He's fucked in the head.
Okay. So the media is now going bananas. Yeah. So they're publishing details stating he probably appeared to have a normal life when he wasn't murdering people. And they're also suggesting the killings were going to continue to happen. He doesn't have a normal life. You fucked that one up, media.
But it's just the most generic statement. He's pretty normal apart from all of these.
Apart from all the murders.
These brutal murders and mutilations. But other than that, completely fine.
Yeah, it's totally fine.
Totally fine.
Yeah. People were also throwing around that the killer could be a woman. And William found that very insulting.
Oh.
Mucho insulting.
Like what, a scorned lover, perchance.
Yeah,
perhaps. Like
exactly.
she
Like
was
a woman who hated men.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of narrative.
like that feminist.
Yeah.
How dare she?
Yeah, suffragettes.
Yeah. She probably cut it off with a bra.
Yeah. Hilarious. Okay.
So yeah,
But
but that pissed him off.
And it made him want to go and confess to the murders.
Oh.
because he just thought I deserve this attention, not fucking women.
Oh.
Yeah, but he's not going to do that because he wants to keep killing people. So
He's
he wants
really
to, but he doesn't.
There were studies done about with him, weren't there?
I think so. Yeah, but also nothing as well. He's such an odd
That's
duck.
what I mean. It's a odd duck. Good. Yeah.
He's
exactly.
yeah.
Nailed it.
Now, police are also telling the media they've got so many leads and an arrest is imminent, which was just bullshit. They were literally just throwing shit out. And they were also, they're just facing dead end after dead end. Calls would come in for suspects and missing people, but ultimately it would all lead nowhere. One guy even came to police with actual stab wounds, claiming he thought he was a victim of the Mutilator, but then just admitted he stabbed himself.
Oh, okay. Well.
Yeah. So this then leads to an increase for the reward of £5,000,
Which is quite
which
a
is
lot of
about
money.
$250,000 now.
Oh, wow.
So it's a solid amount.
Yeah.
Solid amount. And what's interesting now is we'd be like, oh my God, serial killer. He's done this, he's done that. That term wasn't coined until the 1970s.
Oh, really?
What
was he
and
called?
in America, it was just a killer.
Just the
He's just
Mutilator.
murdering a bunch of people. Yeah. So serial killers and forensic profiling hadn't come in at this point. So it's important to note that hasn't come in yet.
I did not know.
So imagine it's coming around I wonder who the first, the John Wayne Gacy kind of.
Nightcaller? The American Nightcaller. We've got we've got the Nightcaller. They've got the Nightcrawler.
No, we've got the Nightcrawler.
Okay, they've got the Nightcaller. Edgar Ramirez. I think he might have been the first serial killer. Could be wrong.
Was it?
I'll look it up.
Yeah, cool.
But yeah. Anyway, so point being, there was. I didn't realize that. Now that you said it, I remember hearing that. So he was just nicknamed the Mutilator.
Yeah. And I thought that somebody would surely know who the killer was because he'd be covered in blood, after these attacks, it's a very normal assumption. But William wore his raincoat. So nobody would ever know because he's very
American Psycho.
Yeah. That's such a good analogy. Never do that again. So on top of all this, the homeless community are also trying to make themselves scarce and not hang out in their usual locations. They're understandably fucking terrified of this person who's killing members of their community, and brutally so.
Yeah, men have been carved up like Thanksgiving turkeys around here.
Okay. All right.
I've had that one in the pipe for a while.
Have you?
Yeah.
Nice.
Had to get it out.
Yeah. It's a good place.
But it is pretty fucked at the moment. Anywhere, it sounds like Redfern, Surrey Hills, Woolloomooloo.
Yeah, most of them are like that Woolo, King's Cross kind of Darlow.
King's Cross is not a suburb, Alice.
I told you this. I was the one that told you that King's Cross is not a suburb.
Yes.
In case anyone's wondering, there's a train station, a police station. Everyone knows the area, King's Cross, but it's technically speaking not a suburb. It's like a mix of Darlinghurst, Woolloomooloo and Potts Point. But it's named King's Cross from where the two main streets, Darlinghurst Road and Victoria Street.
Thanks for the lecture.
Cross into a cross.
You called it a suburb. But anyway, we're getting sidetracked.
Okay, anyway, so in April 14, 1962, a man's attacked by a knife-wielding man, but managed to escape.
Yeah.
And police immediately assumed perhaps this was an escaped victim of the Mutilator.
Right.
So they're starting this whole fucking manhunt now because someone's finally got a description. And they identify a suspect, which was a known sex offender and petty criminal. And then people start coming forward saying, yeah, that matches the man we saw maybe at the crime scene. No, turns out it's another fucking false report of someone who had stabbed themselves just to be a part of the Mutilator case.
So it's really become a bit of a circus at this point.
And literally police followed this lead because it seemed legit for ages.
Wow.
Yeah. And he was like,
Did these people
oopsies, stab myself.
Oh my goodness. Did these people get in trouble?
I don't know. Probably.
Probably.
Or just got the shit
over
kicked
the-
out of them in the back of King's Cross police station. So after this next attack, because everyone thought it was genuine, the entire homeless community had left the area and were either staying in cheap hostels and flop houses, but these are filled to overflowing.
Yes.
And those who didn't make it in for the night huddled outside, even if it was pouring with rain, because they knew that was the safest place to be.
These poor people.
I know. It's like they're already down their luck enough.
Yeah.
They're already struggling enough. And William is just going to go fuck shit up even more for them.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Now, many of them also stopped drinking because they were worried that they would pass out and they would be murdered in their sleep.
He's become a boogeyman.
He literally has, but like a legitimate boogeyman.
A proper boogeyman.
So the city, as I've said, grip of mutilator madness, hundreds of tips flooding in, most of them fucking ridiculous or people stabbing themselves.
I can't believe that.
Some people are saying his eyes were dripping with blood and he wore a cape. Like, just insane shit. Like, it's fucking wild, some of the things people were saying.
So it's like it sounds like a comic book character at this point.
Yeah. Also, all the animal shelters had no dogs because everyone was buying dogs for protection.
Oh.
Don't buy a pooper. He's no good for
Yeah,
protection.
I know. We've got a big German Shepherd and he would do fuck all.
Yeah.
He'd
He'd
balk.
balk at you.
He'd
He'd
balk.
balk, but you come inside and try and get near him. He's like, fucking bye.
Bye.
I mean, no, he will attack you.
Yeah.
He will
well,
kill you.
bring some Mercy Valley. He'll.
Oh,
I love you
he
then.
loves a good block of Mersey Valley.
That's very interesting. At least we got some doggos rehomed. That's
Yeah, that's
nice.
true. So during this time, William would walk the streets of Darlinghurst feeling sorry for the homeless men who looked so vulnerable and scared.
Excuse me.
And it's
No.
this weird juxtaposition you'll always see. And there was a 60 Minutes documentary, which I encourage you to watch. It's only a little bit. But it's like this weird juxtaposition of him. He had to kill, but like there's some morality to it, or like he doesn't deserve what he got in the end, or like
Who
it's
doesn't
weird.
deserve what he got?
Like William
What do you
doesn't
mean he
deserve
doesn't?
like the
The
time in
penalty.
jail and all that kind of stuff. He didn't deserve it, and it's this weird.
What do you mean?
I
Why?
can't understand the juxtaposition between him when he's like, I felt bad for them, it was sad. I felt bad, but like I did it, and I'm not a bad guy. It's a weird. I can't put it down exactly.
Sounds like he can't hold himself accountable for his own actions.
Yeah, and like he's created like a real separation between the part of him that has the demon and the part of him that's just a regular kind of guy.
Yeah, as the media said, just a normal guy.
Yeah, exactly.
By the way, your glasses are fogging up. You got like a massive fog thing.
I'm sweating like a fucking animal.
Like it doesn't bother me. Okay, are we interlude time?
We're interluding.
All right, we'll see you guys in a
See
minute.
me without my glass. Okay. Anyway,
Oh, interlude over.
interlude over. Now, he said the demon inside made him kill. And in fact, if he hadn't have been raped, the demon likely wouldn't exist, which I disagree with. I think the demon would have always been there. I think the demon just evolved because of the rape.
Do you think that plenty of people can have paranoid schizophrenia without murdering people? I wonder
agree.
if the demon pushed him to those. It sounds like the level of brutality and mutilation was driven by the demon.
The mutilation was driven by
The
the
demon.
rape.
By the rape. Yeah, like when I say the demon, like it seems like the demon was created by the rape.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Plenty of people can have that without. It does seem from the story you've told me that was such an important life event.
Oh, yeah.
that
Trauma
then
is an
went on to
instigator for a lot of things.
that went on to shape a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was true.
Yeah.
Which is why I said at the top of the episode, Alexander Price, yeah, he raped somebody, and that is in itself a horrific, terrible, disgusting act. But I think through that act, I would argue he's cost the lives of 4 people so far. I don't know how many more to come because he created a monster.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
William MacDonald, what happened to him was monstrous. So they created a monster. It's from Beaver Vendetta, anyway.
Okay. So during this time, William was once again stopped by police when he was walking through Darlinghurst, but he was searched with nothing of interest found, so police just let him go because he's just on a walk. He wasn't prowling this time.
Well, if you don't have a knife or anything like that, what are you going to...
Exactly. And that was in September, so almost 6 months after the murder of Frank.
Okay.
Now, he was managing to control the demon telling him to kill, which was good because he knew it was entirely too unsafe to kill anybody on the streets at that point because police were patrolling so heavily. Now, although the demon was able to be quiet, his paranoia was not. He was paranoid people at work were spreading that he was gay, so he was starting fights with co-workers, one in particular, who, to be fair, was a bit of a douche but didn't necessarily deserve what he got. And eventually William decided it was time to move on from his job. Plus his boss had basically said, if there's one more incident, you're fired.
Okay.
You're done. So it actually saved quite a bit of money from this job. So he had some savings and he saw that a business was for sale. It was kind of like a general store / deli kind of situation. And that was in Concord. And the business had like living quarters above it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So it was perfect because it's like nobody's going to bother him like
Yeah.
they might in the apartments and the hostels he previously stayed in. So it was like, this is perfect.
Perfect for like
Killing
a murder
people.
pad.
Yeah. So he also used an alias, which he was a huge fan of doing by this point, and he went by Alan Brennan. But I'm also like, William, yes, I get you get to murder in private. I understand the appeal of that. But you got to get rid of him, mate. Before you could just leave them on the street where you found them, how you can't have a dead body chilling in your fucking apartment. Like, it's going to be even more obvious if you're dragging a giant body out of your house. Like, not smart. Anyway, William was terrible at the business from the get-go anyway. He hadn't listened during the changeover period with the previous owner, and it was not a good time for him.
Right.
He was not doing well. Plus the demon, which I think with the instability, the demon tends to get louder and louder.
Oh, really?
So the demon gets louder and louder, and William goes, all right, I've got this private residence, no police, no passers-by. I'm going to go on the prowl again.
Right.
It's prowl time.
Is the business doing well?
No, it's doing terribly because he's fucking terrible at it.
And he doesn't have a wife or anything like that?
No.
Because I know that he's obviously homosexual, but he doesn't...
No.
He's not open about that.
Well, no, because he's like, also he just doesn't like socializing with people generally.
Okay.
He was very socially awkward.
Okay. Yeah.
So on Saturday, the 3rd of November, 1962, he's at the Palace on Pitt Street in Sydney again, which, like, if there's a place called Wine Palace, I'm in. Like, I'm in.
Sounds amazing.
Now, he meets a man who was introduced to him as John McNulty. Now, he was heavily intoxicated when William started speaking to him and became even more of the ideal victim when he, like, divulges he's from Ireland, no friends or family here, and he's just been released from Long Bay Jail. So William's like,
wow,
perfect.
Yeah, perfect victim.
Yeah. So William offers for him to come back to his Concord home. He's like, there's plenty of beer here. Like, it's for free. We can have a good time. So he happily agrees. Great time. On the taxi ride to Concord, William actively makes sure his face was always covered so the taxi driver couldn't identify him at any time. So the pair arrives at William's home and John begins to drink the lovely beer that he was offered and eventually passes out drunk. Perfect. Now, William at this point starts to tidy the house a little bit before he gets to work. So he's like putting all the beer back and like just this odd tidy of the house to make sure everything's all neat and ready.
It's kind of giving me Jeffrey Dahmer vibes a little bit here.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So
he grabs his new knife he just bought for the murder, pulls over a chair and grabs a beer and just sits over John just watching him. And the more he stared, the more he became Alexander Rice.
Rice?
So it's Rice. Sorry, I said Price. It's not. Alexander Rice. It's confusing all of my killers. And at this point in time, the rage wells up. And he raises the knife and he delivers his first blow. Now, this just misses the jugular, which was unlike him because at this point he's getting pretty good at identifying his arteries and his veins. But it does hit the side of the neck. But this was enough to wake John up and for him to be like, what the fuck is happening? And for him to start fighting back.
Yeah.
Now, John grabs William's left arm to try and stop him and try and like sort of just ward him off in any way he can. And this results in William accidentally stabbing himself straight through his own hand.
Nice work, dickhead.
So blood's gushing everywhere. So not only from John, but also from William. And then like William's now even more fucking pissed off because he does not like it when this happens. So he's more rageful.
And he's hurting yeah.
Yeah. So he just begins once again stabbing and stabbing and stabbing until he physically could not lift his knife anymore.
Which is the same as what happened with Ernest Cobbin.
Yes.
Ernie Cobbin.
So you can imagine the blood at this crime scene. Not only is that the blood of John, but it's also the blood of William who's bleeding. Like for anyone who's ever cut their hands in any manner, it bleeds like a stuck pig. Like its hand bleeds are awful. So there's blood fucking everywhere. So he grabs a dirty cloth because gaping wounds should absolutely be covered with like dirty cloths, and then covered his hand from where he'd stabbed himself. And he's like, whatever, I'll just put this dirty cloth here because I've got a job to finish.
Yeah.
Now he begins trying to remove John's genitals, but because the knife was so blunt at this point from how much he'd stabbed him, he physically could not cut off his genitals.
Like blunt from, I imagine, the bones?
Yeah, hitting bone,
bones
hitting
and all of
everything.
that?
They was so blunt that he actually physically could not
It's like a
cut
butter knife
anything
at this
anymore.
point.
Exactly.
Jeez.
So we only managed to remove a small portion of it before he literally fell asleep next to John's body. That's some Dharma vibes.
That's some weird Well, okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on there. Now, we're saying 62, aren't we? So DNA, blood, all of that.
No, you could blood
Would they-
typing.
I was going to
would
say
exist.
blood type would be. So
Yeah.
would they then realize, I'm just hypothesizing here, but if they are going to do that, were they even going to test for that? They'd probably just look at the body and go, this is just blood from this one guy. They're not going
Yeah,
to
and because
test
there
all
would have
the
been
different types of blood.
fuckloads of
It
it.
would
They're
have been
like,
so
"Well,
much."
Nah.
Nah, yeah.
Now, William woke up around midnight and he was apparently horrified by what he'd done. And he
Crimey
was
River.
literally at this point stuck to dried blood on the floor.
Ew.
That's where he's at.
Ew.
And his hand was still actively spurting out dried blood.
Ew.
Dried blood. You can't spurt dried blood. Spurting out just blood, regular blood from under the dirty cloth.
Gross.
So he just goes up, washes it, still spurting.
Yeah.
But he's like, fuck it, it's fine. I'll just put another dirty rag on there and go clean up this mess that I've
Ew.
created. Because, once again, you got to get rid of it, man. You can't just leave it. Like, it's easy to leave shit like a dead body on the street for someone else to clean up. But when you've got to clean up when you've stabbed someone 40, 50 times in your own apartment, like, didn't think that one through, did we?
Yeah, you don't want to shit where you eat.
No. Don't want to murder where you eat. But anyway, so he undresses John, drags him into the bedroom and throws all the bloody clothes in a pile ready for him to clean tomorrow. Now he then just goes to sleep.
He's a very sleepy boy,
He's a
isn't
very
he?
sleepy boy.
Sleepy boy.
Now he wakes at about 7 a.m. and showers before going, probably should go to a hospital because
It's still
this
bleeding.
gaping wound is still actively bleeding. So he jumps in a cab and off he goes.
Okay.
Now he goes to hospital, gets all stitched up, good to go, heads home to deal with the situation.
Well, any question? Oh, he probably would have just said, I don't know.
I think he was like, I own a delicatessen and I just cut my hand.
Is he a butcher?
Because it's like it's like a deli and a general store. Like, you know, you can imagine back in the 60s, those kind of like combined
I was going to say,
businesses.
because he's acting like a butcher. Yeah, interesting. Anyway, yes, makes sense. That would make sense.
So he comes on home, drags John's body as far into the foundations below the building as he could. So he drags it from like the residence up, down like through the back of the deli, basically, and then like under the house into the foundations of the house. And so that's where he leaves John's body.
There is a serial killer. It's like, is it John Wayne Gacy?
John Wayne Gacy Jr.
Who
There's a great song by Sufjan Stevens.
who put the bodies under the floorboards.
floorboards.
So that's his tactic. It's a bold tactic, Cotton.
Yeah.
See how it plays out.
Not well, hilariously though, but not well. So he then rips up all the blood-covered linoleum where he killed him and also puts that downstairs next to the body. And then he takes all the clothes and all the other items he used to clean the house down near the body and then just puts it with the body.
I could just imagine he's like, ew.
It's like, it's like when you have like a room where you dump shit, you like close the door, it fucking doesn't exist.
It's like,
He's like, throw all the bloody shit in there, doesn't exist, it's fine.
is it wrong that I've done that with like a pair of shorts or something that were on the floor, and I'm like, I can't be fucked picking that up. Just put it under the bed. No, it's gone. Can't see it.
So many times. I put if I don't want to fold things, I just put them on the doona.
I see that shit all the time. And I'm like, why? I get into the dude. I'm like, why there's so many clothes in here?
I'm like, I probably wear that as a bed shirt. I'm gonna just leave it there, just in case.
Fucking hell.
Anyway, so he's like,
So he's doing the same thing, but with
he's
dead
left, under,
bodies.
he's left under the foundation. He's like, whatever, I'm gonna
Whatever.
John Wayne fucking Gacy this shit. See you later. And then he's like, I probably should like maybe put the body a little bit further into the foundation. So he pulls it a little bit further into like a brick alcove under the. So he's really getting into that crawl space.
Jeez.
And then he gets John's clothes and folds them and puts them next to his body.
What was John's last name?
God, you're killing me. So many names.
Right, that's what I'm asking.
John McNulty.
John McNulty. Because, sorry, what did he do? He folded the clothes.
Folded the clothes. Remember he did that with
Yeah.
Amos.
Highfield.
Highhurst.
Highhurst.
Yep.
The first.
So
victim.
now he's in a bit of predicament
Mm,
because bodies decompose
yes,
and they smell.
and they do smell.
Yeah. So that was the one thing he didn't think about was the actual fucking logistics of being secluded. So before
And
So
he's got
he
a
just
shop.
goes-
He's got a shop. So people are actively, he's drawing
Coming in
people
and out.
into that area. Did John McNulty have a family? Like, is he another?
No, but he said he was from Ireland. No friends or family to
that's
release
right, from Longbat. Yes, sorry, apologies.
So
I feel so sorry for these men.
it's disgusting. It's kind of like how a lot of American serial killers would target sex workers because they were kind of like a community people didn't really care about.
That's right. He's targeting homeless people, people that just John coming out of jail. Anyway, I know we've been having a bit of a joke and a bit of a laugh throughout this episode, but it is very sad.
Yeah. So William's solution to the problem was kind of tactically disengage and get the fuck out of here.
No, well, because it's Alan Brennan that owns this, isn't it?
Exactly.
So he's like, fuck.
But people know him as Alan Brennan as well.
Yeah.
Like people know him as Alan Brennan. Like that's also good. The name he fucking used to get his job.
Yeah, but that's good.
Yeah.
Because now he can be like, well, I'm William MacDonald.
William MacDonald. So off he goes to Queensland. So he's in Brisbane.
So he just leaves.
Just leaves. He's like, no, I'm not cleaning that. I'm not doing it. I'm fucking out. It's somebody else's problem. He's like, I put it in the foundations. I cleaned it.
It's literally
I lifted the linoleum. You're all fucking welcome. I'll see you later.
Biggest version of just leaving the dishes in the sink and then just going, it's somebody else will get it.
Yeah, exactly. It really is. You. Okay. Anyway, so he decides to go back to Brisbane, packs minimal belongings, withdraws all of his savings, and buys another knife. He's like, I'm going to commit one more murder before I leave Sydney for good because the demon is demanding it. So he's planning on killing the guy who bullied him in his old job.
Yeah.
So he's going to kill him. But the route this guy normally took home from work, he didn't take that day.
Right.
So like William's like, okay, well, I just guess I'll go on a train and go to Queensland.
So, yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. Now, he doesn't work during his time in Queensland, but he couldn't because his hand's still fucked up. His hand's still bad.
Yeah.
So apart from the odd sexual liaison, he was staying in a room he was renting and just staying there. That's all he's doing. He's only going out to have a liaison, comes back in, and it's driving him fucking crazy.
Right.
Plus, he's also now paranoid someone's going to pin him as the mutilator because, like,
he is.
There's a decomposed body under his floorboards.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, so at this point in time, he decides to get as far away from fucking Australia as he could. So he, for some reason, chose the closest place, which is New Zealand. And he settles in Wellington. He got a job as a labourer and was using the name David Ernest Allen. Now, the demon was...
Ernest is coming up so often in this episode.
I know. It's a very old school, very like 60s name.
True.
So the demon is still with him in New Zealand, and one night it said, it's time.
Right.
So William went out, but without his knife this time. He's like, I forgot it. So physical force it's going to need to be. So he meets a man at a restaurant and they head to a local park for some drinks. And suddenly the man once again is faced with William's hands around his throat. But also once again, just as the urge had come, it left. So William just let go and walked away. Jeez. So once again, this man will never know how close he came to being a victim of the mutilator.
Remind me again, was William a big guy? Like big, strong?
He was physically fit. I don't think he was a big guy, but he remained physically fit and
active. It's just a big bloody call because, to walk out without a weapon and just use my hands.
Yeah. Well.
Interesting.
That's William. So April now rolls around.
Mm-hmm. 1963.
Yes. And the urge to kill is now immense. But New Zealand, he's like, New Zealand's not really my jam. So I'm going to go back to Sydney.
Oh.
Because that's a good choice.
Right.
Now, he buys an open ticket in the name of David Allen, and he made it open just in case Sydney became too much of a risk and he had to go back to New Zealand really quickly.
Okay, understood.
So he gets a room in Redfern and uses yet another false name before heading out to Pitt Street and buying himself another knife.
Jeez.
So Pitt Street, by the way, guys, is a big street in Sydney CBD. So upon returning to Sydney, something that had happened while he was in New Zealand, and he was not expecting or anticipating this something. So on Monday, the 19th of November, 1962, so previous year, a fellow who owned a business near William's Concord shop called the health inspector of Concord Council. And he's like, you guys need to fucking do something about that smell emanating from the vicinity of William's business. Because he's in Queensland, Allen's at this point. But it's coming from this general vicinity. It's obviously some kind of garbage issue in that vicinity. Can you please just come and deal with it? It's gross.
Yes.
So the inspector heads there on the Friday and is overwhelmed by the pungent smell that they don't yet know is decomposition. And he searches the main residence of, where Alan, but William, we're just going to assume.
Yes.
Searches the main residence and finds nothing. There's blood fucking everywhere. But anyway, finds nothing, but decides to return on Monday with people who had appropriate clothing to go down into the foundations of the building.
Okay.
So they return on Monday to a considerably worsened smell, obviously. And it was during this time that they go into the foundations and find the heavily decomposed body of John.
Because can I ask a couple of things? How much later is this? You went back a period of time. How much later? How long has John been there?
So he'd been there
Since his
about a
murder.
week.
Oh, okay. So it's not a long time at all.
It's like a week or two.
A week or two. And then when you say under the foundations, he wasn't exposed to weather conditions or anything, but I can
No.
imagine it'll be quite humid.
Yes, well, because it's November in Australia.
So it's hot and it would be humid under there, which would cause, I imagine, decomp
Yeah,
to occur quicker.
yes.
Gross.
Now, so obviously police are immediately notified
Yes.
because there's a body in the foundations of a house.
Yeah.
This is fucking wild. Now, police searched the premises and saw blood, obviously, in the residence where John had been murdered, as well as in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Because obviously there's blood fucking everywhere.
Because Williams like tracked blood everywhere throughout the house from
Yeah,
his from his bleeding hand.
Bleeding hand. He's
Yeah.
just stabbed some guy 50 fucking times.
Yeah.
So the postmortem showed not a huge amount as the body was so heavily decomposed. So pathologists just ruled out foul play.
Wow. Squeeze me? What? Why?
So police also found a note that had been placed in the window of the business itself, which stated proprietor ill, gone to hospital, shop closed for 4 weeks. And William had written that. And nobody apparently had seen the owner of the shop after that note was posted, and this was on the 5th of November. So nobody had seen the owner. And so ultimately, after speaking to neighbours and old workmates and the like, police concluded that the deceased man was William and not John. So while he's away, everyone had just assumed he was fucking dead.
Shenanigans.
Shenanigans. And the police thought it was, this is literally what they thought, was some weird, naked, ritualistic suicide. Yeah. So the coroner then leaves it as an open finding as to cause of death because there's really no clear indication of what the exact cause of death was. So they leave it open. Anyway, so given this information, William doesn't realise he's considered dead. You can imagine his absolute surprise when he bumps into an old workmate called John McCarthy on the street after he's returned to Sydney. The workmate expected him to be dead fucking months ago, which clearly he was not. And they had a brief conversation, and McCarthy immediately went to police after and was like, He's not dead.
He's not dead.
And police didn't believe him and thought he was a fucking crazy person and like literally wrote him off. But McCarthy keeps coming back because he's like, I know what I fucking saw.
It's like
I worked with this guy for so long. And I called him Alan Brennan. Not dead.
And the cops are like, it's all right, buddy. Grief hits us all differently. You'll be right, mate.
Like, okay, you fucking crazy person.
It's like, yes, give us your name, your details. We'll follow it up.
Yeah. So police whatever.
Yeah.
So after not being believed, he decides and said, I'm going to contact the media. So on the 23rd of April.
John McCarthy is he's not giving up.
No.
The cops up until this point, I've got to admit, the cops have been pretty good from what you've said. Like they've been doing what they've. Okay, he's had some close calls, but you could always argue that the cops. What else were they to do?
Yeah.
But this is the first time with it. But to be fair, actually, I say that they have had a number of people fucking stab themselves, so they've been thrown through the loop. I can understand where they've just gone like, oh my god, seriously, you've seen him, sure you have, blah blah blah.
But they don't know he's linked to the Mutilator. Those crimes aren't linked.
Oh,
they don't know it's him. They just
yeah.
think it's just a random dead guy who's committed ritualistic suicide.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. So on the 23rd of April, he goes to the Daily Mirror, and here he's believed after a little bit of convincing.
Because it's the Daily fucking Mirror. They're just like, all right, this sounds like a good headline. Man sees ghost.
So what one reporter didn't know is it was his colleague had also received a similar report from old workmates who had cited an apparent dead man. And this workmate had stated rumors were now circling community that there's a dead man walking.
Dead man walking.
Yeah. So the Daily Mirror decided to publish a story on the 26th of April with the headline, Murder Theory, the Case of the Walking Corpse.
Murder Theory, the Case of the Walking Corpse.
So obviously now there's this much attention going to it. Police have to reopen the case and do a bit more of a deep investigation than ritualistic suicide. You fucking weirdos.
I love that they believe that, but they're like, you've seen a ghost? Fuck off.
No, we believe though that someone spread their blood everywhere before climbing into a crevice under a fucking building with cut up linoleum next to them.
Hey, it's a sacred lino.
Yeah. And this time they actually do an investigation, which is clear they did not do the first time.
Right.
Now, when they look at the bloody clothes they found, they were covered in knife marks.
Oh, shock
Like
me.
they found all the stab marks. Yeah. Police also found on the jacket and pants that were folded next to the body was the number N101262.
That's a Long Bay jail prison number.
It's not, but it's linked. So these were found to be made by one of the most reputable and expensive suit makers in Sydney.
Oh.
And the suit maker linked it back to a very wealthy man in Vaucluse. And he said, I actually donated it. I'm like fogging up.
You are fogging up a lot.
And he's like, I donated it to the City Night Refuge.
Oh.
And from there, it had been passed on to Patrick Joseph Hackett, who had been wearing it when he went to Long Bay Jail on the 17th of October for a short stint for some petty crimes. Hackett was also known by the alias of John McNulty.
Bingo, bango, there's
Bingo,
your man.
bango. So our victim is not John McNulty, it's Patrick Joseph Hackett.
Very clever. How they're able to like work. And good on that man from Vaucluse for donating.
Yeah, a very,
Clothes,
very
like-
expensive suit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So the forensic pathologist made a skin glove, which in case anyone's wondering what
You've done that before.
that is. Yeah, it's gross. So basically what happens is when you are in a certain stage of decomposition, you get what's called skin slippage. So the top layer of your skin, it's exactly what it sounds like. It slips off. And sometimes it can slip off as the whole hand comes off like a glove.
Like your skin of the hand.
Yeah, the skin of the hand. And you can wear it on your own fingers and then use it to get a fingerprint because it like fits nicely to you. It's disgusting. Anyway.
You did it.
Yeah. And the smell when you have to kind of boil. Anyway.
You had to boil
God,
what?
I'm so glad I never
You have to boil what?
like the hand.
Why do you
Sometimes.
have to, just to get the skin off?
Yeah. Depending on the stage of decomposition.
So what? And that's purely just to get fingerprints,
Yes. So
Any other reason?
it was also to match it to jail records of Patrick Joseph Hackett.
which would have come back as correct.
Correct.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
So now it's
Why
clear.
did you have to do it? The same reason?
Same reason. Yeah. So now it's clear that William is not dead. Like he's not dead.
Hmm.
And the newspapers are running stories with headlines like "Walking Corpse Mystery, Brennan Alive, Police Ask for Public Assistance."
No.
Yeah. And a sketch was
Walking
done.
mystery.
Sorry.
Now, a sketch was done of William and released to the media, which is scarily accurate. I was going to get my phone and show you, but we're fucking recording. Anyway, scarily accurate. I will post this. Now, although police they're looking for William, and he's linked to the death of Patrick Hackett, it's obviously not linked to the Mutilator murders because they're not. There's no link yet. They're not
No.
the same.
Right. Yes.
So immediately,
Oh, because he couldn't cut off the genitals because the knife
Knife
was
was
so
blunt.
blunt, and that would have been the only MO apart from the 40 to 50 stab wounds. But
Yeah,
still,
still.
that's the main MO, right?
yeah, exactly. So immediately, William bumped into into his old workmate. He's like, "I'm gonna get the fuck out of Sydney.
Yeah.
Like, this is
Get
not
out of
good."
Dodge.
So he was paranoid. He was going to be dobbed in as the mutilator, even though they weren't linked at this point. And so he went to the nearest toilet block he had and flushed the jacket and hat he was wearing when he bumped into his workmate down the toilet.
How do you think
Which,
that's going to
like,
go, mate?
Impressive.
I
Like,
thought
I'm
it
just
actually went
imagining
under.
going, grabbing a jacket, like your hat, just flushing it down the toilet.
I think toilets were a little bit different back then.
Probably just a hole in the ground. Like what are those droppy ones?
I think like maybe a little bit more advanced than that, but yeah, let's meet in the middle and let's call it there.
Okay. Now, William went straight back to where he was residing at that point, but not before buying the cheapest train ticket he could to Melbourne the next day because he's running out of fucking money.
Hasn't he got an open ticket back to New Zealand?
Yeah, I don't know why he's going to Melbourne.
So why doesn't he go there?
Because he's an idiot. So he remains in his room and before it's time to get on the train immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So once in Melbourne, he does get to Melbourne.
Mm-hmm.
He rents a room and got a job with Victoria Railways.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he was running incredibly short on money at this point and would need to go to soup kitchens and the like to survive until he was paid in a fortnight.
In
So
which
he's
case he'll
struggling.
buy a knife.
Now, all the money he had left, he spent on hair dye and Sydney newspapers to see if he was being linked to anything.
Yeah.
But the story of the walking corpse by this point is all over Australia. Everyone's fucking talking about it because it's hilarious and it's fantastic. And like rewards are being offered for his capture because he's still a murderer at this
Yeah,
point.
I know. Yeah.
And so his paranoia is only increasing. He's sure I'm going to be found out. Like
Because
I'm
you were
trying to
saying-
dye my hair as a disguise, which
But you
Okay.
were saying the sketch was eerily accurate.
very accurate.
But the thing is, what interests me is back in those days, the print would have been black and white, right?
Yeah.
So what's he dyeing his hair for? It's still the same. You know, black and white. If you dye your hair,
But I guess there would have been a description as well. Like he's got blonde hair and this and this and this.
clever, clever.
So the paranoia was so bad at this point, he described his life as a living hell.
Oh, poor
I
Dylan.
stand. But police are struggling because everywhere they're going, they're finding a new alias for this person. And so they're like, we can't fucking track him. So every lead's a dead lead. Now, one thing they did do was send a sketch over to every capital city's newspaper and ask them to like put it on their front page. Now, two of William's new workmates, Harold Darcy, and Robert Morrison, were struck by the resemblance of the photo to their new workmate, David Allen.
It's
William.
always Alan.
Yeah.
Allen's in there or
Because
William's in
he's
there.
got to add his Allen Ginsburg in there. Now, they described him previously as creepy and unfriendly, which accurate. Now, as a result, they took their suspicions to their boss. They're like, we think this guy's a murderer. And the boss basically said they watched too much TV and to get back to work. And at that time, this is such a weird regulation, but there was a railway regulation that prevented employees from calling police about anything unless they had permission from the Commissioner of Railways,
Oh,
which is super odd.
that is weird.
Yeah.
I wonder what there must have been an event or something that prompted that. If you guys know about that, let us know.
Yeah. But Howard and Robert were so convinced they called police anyway. They're
Good-
like,
good
it's
for
definitely
them.
him. So police surveyed him for like days to confirm that he was indeed the walking corpse. And then on Monday, the 13th of May, he was arrested when he went to go and collect his pay.
Ha, suck shit, dickhead.
Suck shit. So he was taken to Russell Street Police Station in Melbourne, where he was placed under 24-hour armed guard.
Good.
Now, while he was under like armed guard, police searched the lodgings where he was staying, and they found his bottle of hair dye and some magazines on homosexuality and murder.
Ooh,
Now,
right.
remember at
That's
this-
interesting.
Yeah.
What, like, is it homosexuality and murder or homosexuality and as murder? Like
Two separate types of magazines.
I was thinking that
I
it might
don't
have
think
been
it's
linked.
murders of homosexual people. I think there's murders like
So there's a
crime and
homosexual
punishment.
magazine and there's a murder magazine.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
I was thinking that was linked.
Yeah. Now, remember at this point in time, he's only under arrest for one murder. He's not under arrest
Yeah,
for
that's
the
it.
mutilators.
Yeah.
But they didn't have to wait long to find that out. So
Righto.
from the time they started interviewing him, William basically sang like a canary.
I was going to say, he wanted the notoriety, didn't
Yeah.
he?
And he basically was like, hey, my name's William MacDonald and I indeed murdered Patrick, but I'm also responsible for all the mutilated murders in Sydney. So you can imagine the speed at which Melbourne detectives called New South Wales police. And MacDonald later stated, I was glad it was all over. At the end of my life, it was a nightmare. I was jumping at my own shadow and the demon was driving me almost insane. I had no idea when there would be a tap on my shoulder and police would take me away. It was a living hell. I was glad to be caught. Shut up.
Shut up. But also, no sympathy whatsoever, but I can understand.
Yeah.
I can understand from his perspective. He's just like, this is fucking shit.
Yeah, I'm done.
He's got anybody would be paranoid at that point.
Oh, yeah.
Notwithstanding the fact that he had paranoid schizophrenia. So yeah, look, I can understand that.
Yeah. So detectives immediately flew down to Sydney to interview him, and they were stunned by the precise details he gave them, and they'd never experienced such detailed confessions from any murderer. Now, the details finally allowed them to put the pieces together, and they'd been struggling for years, so that would have been so satisfying. And as they said, even Sherlock Holmes would have had difficulty piecing this one together.
Yeah, definitely.
So William was extradited to Sydney, and it was decided that he would first be charged with the murder of McLean, who was the one found in the laneway.
No, oh, yes. Sorry,
thinking
Frank
McNulty.
McLean.
Yeah.
Frank McLean,
Yeah.
with the couple with the baby
Found
found
him,
him.
exactly.
And then he hid in the shadows.
Yeah,
Yes,
as it was the
sorry.
most recent mutilator murder, and the
okay.
coroner had not yet established the cause of death for Patrick, who was the one who was ritualistic suicide murder.
Yes.
So once William's extradited to Sydney, everyone's gathered around the police station, and it's a bit of a shit show,
Right.
Because everyone wants to see anything. But police managed to get him inside the station, where he's charged with the 3 mutilator murders. So Alfred Greenfield, Ernest Cobb, and Frank McLean. There are 3 mutilator murders. Now, while this is happening, they're trying to get to the death of Hackett and they want it recorded as a homicide. And the commissioner of police is pissed because the original investigating police fucked it up and missed like stab marks, blood on the floor in the living room, blood on the linoleum next to the body, the numerous sightings of Brennan after the sign had been put up in the shop. Like, anyway.
So Freeman's pissed.
Yeah. So the coroner did rule that Hackett's death was a homicide, but it was also recommended that a bunch of cops be reprimanded because they fucked up.
Oh, really? That doesn't... Well, it doesn't happen these days, but...
So the coroner then ruled that William should be charged with Hackett's death. Now, William was held in Long Bay Jail, separated from the other prisoners, which was meant as a punishment, but he loved it because he hated people. Like he hated socializing. He preferred his own company, so it was great for him.
So it was a punishment not for his own safety or anything?
Yeah.
Right.
But he also described the other prisoners as riffraff and common thugs.
Oh, come off it. Yeah.
So ultimately, he knew. He's like, I'm where I belong, and I'm kind of glad I can't kill again.
I don't like him.
I don't like him. He's an odd, I say odd duck in the worst possible way.
Yeah, it's too soft. Like, I feel that he's got this superiority complex, and it might probably come, I imagine it comes from the fact that he grew up wealthy, that he thinks that he's above everybody, and that riffraff. Fuck off.
Yeah.
You know, anyway, yeah, I don't like the way he's, suppose I'm where I'm at. No, you don't get to fucking be like this.
Yeah.
Annoys me.
So the demon was still there with its desire to kill, but he's behind bars, so there's nothing he can do about it.
Yeah.
Plus, the psychs would often give him sedatives, like to obviously try and quell the schizophrenia, and he said it did help.
Oh, yeah.
It did make the urges less. And he was given a court-appointed count. God, Jesus Christ. I'm so hot and tired. He was given court-appointed counsel who encouraged him to plead guilty to all 4 murders. And it appears at this point he hadn't actually been charged with the murder of Amos Highhurst.
Because that
happened
wasn't
in Queensland.
It was Queensland and it wasn't a mutilator murder.
And William's like, look, you can...
and it wasn't use a knife, sorry.
Yeah, exactly. It was strangled.
Strangled.
That's
So
what
it's
he's been
completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, William was happy. He's like, whatever you want, lawyer. You do whatever you want. That's fine. I know I'm spending the rest of my life in jail, so off you go. Now, a Queen's Counsel solicitor called Jack Burney. Now, Queen's Counsel is like the highest level of solicitor you can get in Australia.
Now King's Counsel.
Now,
Or
King's
Silk.
Counsel. Silks now. It's Queen Counsel back then.
Yeah.
Called Jack Burney said he would represent William for free, which is fucking insane. But he said, I'll
Why?
represent you for free if you sign this document which gives me the rights to your story, which the Sun newspaper had already offered him £50,000 for, which is close to $1 million in today's money.
So he was thinking, well, by doing the
Ka-ching.
bare minimum, which on a case that I know that I'm expected to lose, that is an unwinnable case,
Oh, he's just going to plead guilty. So
he's
it's
just
like-
going to plead guilty and then cha-ching,
Yeah.
cha-ching.
So Bernie said, I'll give you a portion of the proceeds. So William's like, okay.
Oh, so is this before the law that you can't profit from your crimes or something like that?
I imagine that would not be allowed now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely not allowed now, I don't think.
Yeah,
but-
no.
Wow.
So, and he's trying to convince William not to plead guilty by reason of insanity, which he would have probably been very successful at, because it meant that his face would still remain in the newspapers and increase the amount of money that Bernie was going to be paid by the newspapers for his story. Yeah. Now, William wanted to plead guilty, like that was what he wanted, but he didn't want to be sent back to a mental institution. But Bernie's like, maybe like eventually you can plead guilty by insanity. And I promise that our mental institutions are much better here in Australia than they are in England.
Bullshit.
They're not.
Yeah.
So William then told 2 court-appointed like psychiatrists, while they're trying to work out if he is in fact insane, about his history, the mental health diagnosis as a child, the rape, the shock treatments, all that kind of stuff. The only thing he wasn't honest about and purposefully evasive about was his family history and his Judaism, And it basically the reason why he did that was he didn't want anything getting back to his family or it being linked to them.
Because he didn't want to bring shame to his family.
Yeah.
Oh.
And they sort of accepted that he was never going to be honest about his childhood or give them any details to explain what happened in that childhood to make him the way that he was.
Because they wouldn't know. Well, when did they find out his real name, Allen Ginsburg?
He told them pretty much straight up.
Oh.
Hmm.
Couldn't they have looked them up in like Ginsburg family in
Maybe.
England? I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah. Now, when at the trial, Bernie, his Queen's Counsel, pled not guilty for William, and the DPP suggested that in order to save the court's time and money, so the DPP, sorry, are the ones who work for the police.
Department of Public Prosecutions.
Yeah. Suggested that in order to save the court's time and money, William only been charged with the murder of Patrick Hackett, which is weird. So he's not being charged with any of the Mutilator murders.
But is the judge saying, we'll do that, sentence to life without the possibility of parole, we don't have to go through anything else?
Yeah, basically. But it's only one indictment. So it's just for the murder of Patrick Hackett. They've gotten rid of everything else to save the court time and money, which is fucking risky because what if they lost it?
But then, no. But then rather than doing that, can they keep that up their sleeve? It's sort of, do you know how that sometimes you can try a case, you try one. If you've caught somebody for 8 murders, you try them for one. And not all, you don't put all your eggs in the same basket.
Well, he was charged with all those murders and they dropped them, which I think is where
they
like a concept of double jeopardy would have perhaps come in.
So they dropped the charges. They didn't, so they couldn't, if they were unsuccessful with Hackett, they couldn't then try them for McNulty or McLean. McLean or Cobbin. Yeah. McNulty was Hackett. Yeah.
Yeah. So while he's in custody, a detective comes down for Brisbane to talk to him about the murder of Amos Highurst. Because that happened in Queensland, remember? And William describes in his usual detail how we killed him, like precise details. But the detective's like, there's not enough details to convince me that you guys were together, so we're just going to keep it as a heart attack.
Was that a ploy or?
No. And they even exhumed the body. And they were like, oh, no, we can't find any details of any kind of murder. It was strangulation. Like, he admitted he strangled him. They're like, we can't find any details. So, like, no.
But then they wouldn't.
Exactly.
They wouldn't find any details.
And it's like, he's just confessed to murdering him in, like, an insane amount of detail. Why wouldn't you?
I don't know. I'm trying to play devil's advocate. They would have had a lot of loonies, as we know, that they stabbed themselves to try to link them to the case. Like, maybe they just went, oh, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't have made that call, but I'm just trying to get their way of understanding.
Yeah. But on the 23rd of September 1963, the trial begins.
This is for Hackett.
This is for Hackett
only.
Yeah. And it's a fucking circus, as you can imagine. Like, full of media, full of the public. Everyone wants to get involved. And many were doing he doesn't look the kind of man who would mutilate a body, which is like typical serial killer business. But he gives evidence, the exact details, all of that kind of stuff. Everyone's fucking glued. Like, imagine what this would be like listening to this guy, like, describe in perfect detail on the stand what he did. And then eminent psychologists take the stand and they say he's definitely criminal insane. And one said, MacDonald's psychotic symptoms, at times very acute, were responsible for his mutilating and homicidal tendencies. Because of his mental illness, paranoid schizophrenia, the voices he heard telling him to kill, and other psychiatric symptoms in the form of compulsive behaviour over which he did not and could not have any control, made his conduct unpredictable. So everyone's giving their evidence. A bunch of psychs have said he's definitely criminally insane. You know, he's got paranoid schizophrenia. Before the jury gave their evidence, it was clear to me that they are trying to push to find him not legally insane at the time of the murder. Everyone's sort of like, it was so odd. It was like all of these eminent psychologists coming forward and saying he's definitely criminally insane, and everybody's just kind of pushing for the jury to be like, he's not, he's fine. Like, even the judge in one of his like surmises was like, prob's not, guys. Like, you probably shouldn't find him guilty by insanity.
Is it because they knew that they put all their eggs in the one basket? They were like, oh, fuck.
I think it also might have been like, perhaps I just didn't fucking believe it. Because at that point in time, he's coming in sedated. He's telling everything very matter of fact. He doesn't.
Mental health wasn't a
big thing back then.
At all back then. So
yeah. But even the people in the courtroom were like, there's still something wrong with this guy.
Yeah, he's a schizoid.
Yeah. But it took the jury less than 2 hours to find William guilty and reject him being criminally insane.
I'm kind of conflicted on that because he's obviously criminally insane. But hang on. So if he'd been found criminally insane, what would his?
He would have had to actually go to a mental institution, which he would not have liked.
Should have been found criminally insane and then spent the rest of his days in a mental institution.
Yeah, but instead he was sentenced to life in prison.
But then if he was criminally insane, would he have had the opportunity to get out of?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah,
I think
so
it's kind of the
fucking
same sentence.
Stick him where he doesn't want to be.
Yeah. And so I still find it wild he's never charged with the mutilator murders.
So he's got the moniker the Mutilator, yet he was never charged with any of those murderers. That's wild. That's insane.
No. And then a few weeks after the verdict was handed down, the reporter who first broke the walking corpse story went and saw William in jail.
Daily Mirror.
Yeah. And here William actually told him his real name, his family details, and said, "Can you get in touch with my brother?" And the reporter actually honoured this request. He could have just gone straight to the papers and been like, "Yo, this is the real fucking details on this guy." But he didn't. And he did end up contacting the brother.
And the brother just went, fuck off.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Basically. I'll talk to you about that in a sec. Now, Jesus. While he's in jail, that demon's still there. And he almost kills another inmate with a slop bucket.
What's a slop bucket?
Like I think it's like when you're mopping and it's like all this shit that's in the bottom of the mop bucket. Yeah. Anyway.
You're like, yeah? As if
Anyway.
I'm meant to know.
I don't know. But with this attack, psychiatrists then did determine that he was mentally insane and they sent him in a straitjacket to Callan Park. So you know Callan Park? Callan Park's that massive park in Balmain on the Bay Walk. You don't know it?
How the hell am I meant to know all the parks in Sydney, mate?
I don't know. A beautiful, beautiful park. It was a psychiatric institution.
Callan
for
Park.
ages.
Is there a cricket oval there?
Yes.
Yeah, I've played cricket there then.
Okay, yeah. So it used to be like a mental asylum.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
They had a Laneway festival played
Yes,
there,
they
I
would
think.
have. Yes, they would have. Yeah.
Would have. Thank you very much.
Shut up.
Yeah, I've been there. I've been to a music festival and I played cricket there. I've never been sent there.
Anyway, they were trying to decide at this point in time if he should be transferred to Morisset Mental Asylum, where the worst of the worst criminals went. And he was sent there. And not long after, a nurse was stabbed to death by a patient.
Where was he sent, sorry?
Morisset
Oh.
Mental Asylum.
Never heard of it.
Setting Coast, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the place was a shit show. And William's basically sedated for the whole time he's in Morisset psychiatric prison place.
Yeah.
But while he's there, his brother writes him back.
Oh.
And he says, mother has died of dementia 2 weeks prior. And for the first time in his life, William cried for his piece of shit mother. Weird. Yeah. Now, his brother stated the mother was informed of his crimes.
Yeah.
But he was like, I would not allow her to contact you, even though she was desperate to.
Oh, that was a bit of
And also, I have inherited our fuckloads of money and you're getting none of it.
Okay, so he is sticking the knife in.
Yeah.
But good. This would have caused, I could imagine, a lot of anguish and emotional damage.
Emotional damage. And so because of everybody kind of knows, like his family now knows. So he just starts telling all the psychiatrists everything about his childhood.
Oh, okay.
So he's like, whatever. And
the
they're
cat's
like,
out of the bag and fuck them.
Yeah, fuck them. We may as well tell everybody. And yeah, they sort of all got to put the pieces together, which would have been fascinating for a psychologist.
Yeah. Wow.
Now, eventually Williams weaned off the insane amount of medication he was on and the sedatives, and it appeared the voices had disappeared and the psychs deemed he was cured. And this was in 1979 and he'd been in Morisset for 16 years-ish.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he was transferred back to Long Bay Jail before being sent to Goulburn. So that's our max security prison.
Super
That's where all like the worst of the worst are. And here he was nicknamed Knick Knack because he
Paddywhack?
cut off people's penises.
I don't get it.
Like knick knack, like your knickknacks are your balls, right?
Oh, I don't know. I always Jats
Like
crackers.
knick knack, paddywhack, give a dog a bone. This old man came.
I understand that, but I actually don't know what that means. Now
think
I'm like,
knickknacks are
give
just
the
kinda
dog
like
a bone. What are you trying to say? What the fuck have I been saying all these years?
Take the dog's bone.
Or you boning the dog. Give the dog a bone.
Blah. Anyway,
I
he's
don't know,
eventually
you brought up knickknacks as something. I don't know.
all right. Well, he's eventually transferred to Grafton,
Okay.
where he's interviewed by 60 Minutes, as I said.
Interesting. Okay.
And he's just a really good character. I recommend you go and watch it. Just search it on YouTube.
So what are we talking about? Early 70s at this point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, like this is like 80s, 90s, I think.
Okay. Well, you've jumped ahead. So
I've jumped ahead because he's been fucking everywhere.
Yeah,
This point.
that's right. Yeah.
So he considers his murders to be similar to that of a drug addiction and does seem to once again have this odd separation from his crimes. And he's actually interviewed with Leonard Keith Lawson, who we would do, but like awful crimes, fucking crimes. But he hated that he had an association with him because he was interviewed in the same documentary.
This is what I mean. He's got this superiority
And I was like,
complex.
Brett, you guys
Brett.
are as fucking bad as each other.
Yeah, shut up.
Yeah. So in jail, he was quoted as saying, "My life has improved since I came to jail. It's terrible out there. People aren't even safe in their own homes." Yeah. He also said, "I wouldn't want a new start. I would be afraid I would do the same thing again. They say a leopard never changes his spots. There's something in me. It's inbuilt. It's something I can't change."
Not wrong.
Not wrong.
Stay where you are.
And he did. He had parole hearings since he was in there, and he refused to go to all of them.
Look, that's one thing that I will say. Good on him. At least he had that awareness.
Yeah. And then in 2015, he died in jail at the ripe old age of 90.
2015. Wow.
So he's now dead. Fuck yeah.
He's now dead. The end.
Fuck you.
Wow, wow.
You're welcome.
Right in peace, William Allen Ginsburg, MacDonald, Brennan, man.
Oh, I was about to drop a word I'm not allowed to
Oh,
drop.
you're not
It
allowed
came
to do
through.
that.
It was like,
Would have been like,
no, we don't. Oh, yeah. I didn't know we had that on there.
it would have been-
Beep-boop-bap-beep-bap-bop. I feel like this is what it would have been. It would have been like this.
The walking cops.
You think you're funny.
That's so funny.
The heat's getting to you, isn't it?
I'm so hot. Thank God this chair is made of fake velvet because it's like absorbing my leg sweat.
I feel like it's worse. I hate it. I don't know. We need to work something out. But if we have cooling in here or interfere with the sound.
Oh, no, we can because these isolate. You know how I know these isolate?
No, tell me.
Because when I'm
What a great
editing
story.
the videos, you have to edit the videos, isolate their sound and get rid of it so you can import the sound that comes from the Rode microphones. But anyway, I was listening to the audio that comes through our
here we go.
phones.
It's still going.
And then in the background, we're talking and all you can hear is of Aquila like drinking his water for like just an excessive amount of time. So it does isolate us because you can't often, I'm sure you can sometimes hear the planes go over.
So why the fuck didn't we bring a fan in here when you knew it was
Because
this
I think
hot?
there's a difference between hearing a kill in another room being like, and a fan and here being like, "Meh."
Okay, that was really loud. I
Oh, was it?
apologize. But it was-
Actually, when you look down here at our
yeah, I can
for those
see.
on YouTube, our
Yeah, see
big
all those
computers
really
down
big
here,
spikes.
it's
That's
like-
you. That's you laughing.
or maybe being like, "Beep, beep, 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 beep."
Oh my goodness. Wow. What an insane. What an.
It was a long episode, guys. I'm sorry, that's about an hour 45.
Nah, you'll be right. You guys will love it.
You can break it up.
Hopefully, break it up.
Sorry, I got tired about 10 minutes ago. I was like, I'm tired of reading. My eyes are sweating.
No, poor diddums. I was going to say this is an insane case, and I think you mentioned, I don't know, towards, I think when he got caught or something like that. It was around that time. That had it not, even Sherlock Holmes wouldn't have been able to figure this out.
Nah.
It was.
Too many
And had he
names.
not been so open and forthright about it all, I don't think we would ever have pieced them all together.
No, I don't think so.
That's insane. I don't know. Very, very interesting. And to think that if he had just stayed in New Zealand or if he'd just gone anywhere else,
Or
he would have
just
got away
not-
with it. He would have got away with it.
Not insisted on John Wayne fucking gasing it and putting people in the foundations of your house to decomp.
Yeah. But then the thing is, he did all the right things as a killer, as in not being that instinctive, like following impulsive.
Yeah, why don't we
Not-
just move to another state?
He walked away when the workmate, he did all those things. I just didn't understand. See, you said it was stupidity. I'm thinking there's a level of arrogance there that he's and almost like, I don't know, maybe nonchalance. I don't know, but there's a level of arrogance, I think, that he thinks won't happen to me, whatever. But no, very, very interesting case.
Muchas gracias.
I remember reading that right at the beginning, but like reading a sort of just the mutilate. You know, when we come across cases, how we find them or something. The mutilator cut off
shit.
penises, and I was that's got to be amazing. Add it to the spreadsheet.
Let me see if I can find the photo view of the sketch.
Do you know what kind of episode we have next?
Yeah, it's that one we were going to record, but we didn't record.
Okay, that gives me nothing. I don't know.
They were pretty close.
He looks like bloody Butthead. Beavis and Butthead.
It does look like, but this one's good.
Yeah, all right, mate.
This one's pretty good.
It's not
Not
it's-
Butthead, not this one.
It's not bad. Yeah, look, it's not bad if you're a Beavis and Butthead comic artist, sure.
Okay.
You are done, aren't you?
I'm so tired.
Oh.
Not tired, but like tired of using, like, you know, when you're using your brain, you're telling. Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop,
Oh, no.
motherfuckers.
Hold on, I got to unlock
All
the
right,
computer screen.
guys, we hope you enjoyed the episode. Give us a like. Join our community
Oh
group.
my God, yes, because we're on YouTube, guys. Like and subscribe. We have to say that now. Like and subscribe and tell your friends and family and anyone who will listen.
Why are you
just shove
fucking
it down
holding
their
onto the
throats.
microphone like that, like you're about to shove that down your throat? What are you doing?
I don't know.
Settle down.
I don't know, but like and subscribe to
Like
our
and-
YouTube, guys. It'll be up within the next couple of days because I'm all done. And
That's right. We're going to do a few other things on YouTube in terms of, like, don't get too excited. It will be, you know, just things to get to know us a little bit better as well. And yeah. But we're going to be putting all the episodes up. So please like and subscribe. What's Signal 2
podcast.
Signal 2 podcast. But also join our Facebook group. Like us on Insta. Tell your friends. Tell your family. Love to get the word out there. Guys, we hope that you can keep it together.
Keep it together.
Yes, that's what I said. Keep it together. Take care of each other. Check in with one another. We love yous all.
Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop. Mother fluffers. Mother fluffers unite!
Yeah!
Yeah!
Ha 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 ha.
Our follower started
Wop.
Mother Fluffers Unite, so it's a thing now.
That's a thing now. Mother fluffers
Mother
unite.
Fluffers Unite.
Wap wap.
MFU.
Wop, wop.